welcome to Picks with the Professor, the show where a real statistical professor gives you sports betting tips. This is college basketball for Thursday, January 4th. Cousin Jared, um, if we have noises in the background, that's not a cat. It is baby professor who has finally been brought home after a, 12-ish day, if you say. And he's hanging out, a mere few feet from me, hopefully going to stay passed out. But we are entering a series of shows where we will have to hopefully not edit out baby cries. And unfortunately, hopefully, I will not become more delirious as the days go along. And hopefully, I will continue to make sense hosting this show.
That's really and hopefully the first of hundreds, thousands of shows for Baby Professor. I mean,
yes.
We're starting a new trend here.
Yes, maybe one day, him and I can co-host a show. 21 years when he's of legal age to gamble and he's here in the United States. We have a jam-packed show here for Thursday. It's a great slate. The 3 games that we're going to cover are fantastic. There's a few other really good games as well, but we've got 3 games that you're probably going to watch here on the free pick show. We have 6 more for the extended cut. We have 10 best bets for the day. One of them is the play of the day. And you can get all those best bets over on Black Book Sports. That link's in the show description for $9.99 a month. Or if you want the full package of all the A-grade picks, there's 20 of them right now. Again, we're going to talk about 10 of them on the show, but there's 20 of them total. Here for Thursday, if you're looking for all of them, all the team totals, all the fun stuff, you can get that over on Dub Club. Again, as always, there is the link to get you your first month for under $1 a day. That sign-up link is in the show description. Cousin Jared, we have a long night ahead of us. Is there anything I should mention before we dive right into it?
No, let's get going.
All right, let's do it then. Minnesota and Michigan. We're going to start off at 9 p.m. Eastern. There are obviously a lot of earlier games, but Thursdays, it seems to be have a lot more West Coast action. Remember this from last year, because last year you were on the Wednesday night shows as well, coming to the Thursday games, and we did a lot of West Coast games and a lot of the Big West and a lot of the Pac-12, and we're continuing that here. But of course, this is a Big Ten game, but it's at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's obviously because it's because of television, because Michigan being in the Eastern time zone, at least this game's in Minnesota. It's 8 o'clock local, but 9 o'clock local start is quite a thing there. Cousin Jared, we talked, I mentioned this to the Discord chat, made some updates to the model, something I've been kind of thinking about, finally had some time to sit down and try to figure it out. We've been kind of missing on a few teams and trying to kind of correct for that. Obviously not in an ad hoc way, but in a formulaic way where we can kind of say, what's a realistic way to kind of capture that and forecast that better. Michigan was one of those teams that the model just kind of liked and it didn't really make sense. Some of the teams it likes and it's different from the market, but we've been winning. We want to keep that the same. But when we're missing from the market, we're losing. We kind of want to just not overreact, but not underreact. And the model was really underreacting. For some of these teams, Michigan's one of those. And you can see why the model was underreacting. That defense has just really let them down. Their offense is still pretty good, but the defense just has not been good. Both these teams are decent, but as of right now, neither one of these teams would be a tournament team. So this is kind of one of those, I don't want to say must win. It's January 4th, right? There's a lot of games ahead of them, but these are the sorts of games that you need to win if you want to be playing in the NCAA tournament come March. Yep. Sadly, it's Minnesota's the slightly better team, but at Michigan won't be an easy win. Because, Jared, we talked a lot about this, what we should do with this game. It's kind of right on the borderline of if you should take the money line or take the points. Kind of landed at something I think maybe a little bit unique, maybe that we're going to try going forward, is maybe being a little bit more aggressive with the money line for the home team, a little bit more cautious at the points with the road team, just because it's hard to win on the road. That doesn't mean Minnesota can't do it. And honestly, this is a good spot where we always talk about splitting your bet. I don't have it coded that way to track officially. I'm a big guy about transparency and making sure all of our stuff's out there, and can be seen and verified, et cetera. And so I don't have it coded in to split the bet, but this is not a crazy one to split. Take 6.5 points with some of your bet and take plus 230 or so with the rest of it in case they pull it off. But, Minnesota should be able to hang around in this game. Again, caveat, as we're always talking about, if it's one of those middle third typical games, right? If it could be, anything can happen in sports, right? But if it's a game where the number matters, we think it's more likely Minnesota loses by 3 than by 10. So 6.5 with the Golden Gophers A-grade pick. Tell us more, Cousin Jared.
I came on here last week and I told you to lay the points with Michigan against McNeese State. And I said that, and Michigan lost that game outright. And my rationale there was. Look at Michigan's schedule. It was a hell of a schedule. It was tough. And I thought they were battle tested. And a team like McNeese is where you were finally going to see that, hey, we Michigan are a pretty good team. We've played a
and I think we said, hey, McNeese was a solid team. It's not like they're bad, right? It wouldn't try to disparage them. It was just McNeese is still under the level of competition. They're going to play a lot of nights, night in and night out in the Big Ten.
Yeah. What if Michigan just doesn't quite have it this year? And specifically when I'm looking at it, what if their defense is just not up to Big Ten standards? Because again, you could look at the teams that they were playing and say, okay, these are good teams they're playing. I can see why they put up points. But maybe Michigan's defense had a bigger hand in all those losses that they had than what I was giving them credit for. I don't see, obviously, the same type of issues with Minnesota's defense. Quite a bit better than Michigan's defense, especially by Big Ten standards. I think Michigan definitely has an advantage on the offensive side at home, but I just don't have much faith in this Michigan defense. To your point of taking the points here, I think at the very least we can rely on Michigan's defense not being that great, and Minnesota at the very least keeping this game close.
Yeah, and that's kind of really all we're asking them to do is hang in there, keep it close, and just don't let the fouls get away at the very end. On average, we think Michigan wins by 2.4, which makes Minnesota plus 6.5 a pretty good bet. And again, if you want to sprinkle the money line, we don't think it's the craziest idea, but we might be a little more aggressive with taking the money line dogs at home, or of course, in our favorite, the WTF wrong team favorite game. At that point, it doesn't matter if it's home or road. If we think it's more than 50% likely, we're going to take the plus odds no matter what they're offering. Which takes us to 9:30 p.m. Colorado and Arizona. Cousin Jared, I feel like this could be like the shortest show ever because I don't even know what to say about this. We've talked a lot about Arizona. We've talked a lot about their insane pace. We've talked a lot about the fact that their defense is underrated and it's really good. And their offense is really good. But when you play a pace like that, you're just going to have a lot of points. We've been relying on these Arizona overs. We've cashed so many of them. We haven't cashed every single one of them. But, we talk a lot about one of the benefits of the model is trying to help you find value. And sometimes that value comes in zigging and zagging and just trying to see where, the market gets a little bit off here and there. And other times the value comes when the market just is not willing to adjust. And of course, the classic example that we long talk about our beloved 2022 Seattle Mariners in that regard, where the market just never adjusted and we just kept making money all year long. As easy as that was. And that's kind of where we're at with Arizona. The market just is hesitant to adjust to just how high scoring these games are going to get. They can put up 100 on any given night. And as we saw in the last time out, they can give up 100 too. And so we don't need this to be 100 to 100 in this point to go over 163. It's an A-grade pick. This model thinks you're more likely to end up around 170. Colorado plays above average pace. They're going to have no problem going at this pace for Arizona. Even if they try to slow them down, Colorado's offense is good and they're going to score, and their defense is the weakest unit on the court. And Arizona should score plenty as well. A-grade over. They've been good to us all season long. I don't really see why we should get off the train at this point. What do you think?
Arizona's last 3 games have all gone over 180. Before that, their last 3 games all went over 160. I mean, it's just can't catch up. And with those teams that we talked about, they did play some quicker pace teams. They played some quicker pace teams. They played Purdue, who just has a wonderful offense, even if they don't play super fast. But even the teams that they play that are near average pace, like Cal, for example, game got to 181. It almost doesn't matter what the other team does against Arizona, but Colorado is a team who likes to push the pace a little bit as well and has a good offense to boot. And so this is going to be one of those games that – is this on Pac-12 Network? I hope not.
I'm not sure.
This is too fun to be on for it to be relegated to Pac-12 Network because there might be 200 points in this game.
There might be.
I think this is going to be a fun one. I mean, a fun one to watch. If Colorado can keep it close for a little bit, Arizona's going to win, I think, at home, coming off that loss to Stanford. I think they're going to be focused. But there's just going to be so many points in this one, just all of the points.
ESPN, thankfully for us, will be airing this game. So Pac-12 Network gets the Oregon game, which I think he's rated as the third best game according to Sideline, and one that we have an A grade pick on as well, but we passed up on the show just because it's on Pac-12 Network. And so if we can, we like to avoid those games because we know, like, again, 12 people in the entire country can watch those games. And so this one we can at least keep our eyeballs on. But this is going to be a fun game, a lot of points. It may turn out to be a blowout. You never really know anytime Arizona's involved. Even that last one, they kind of got blown out, and it wasn't even that interesting. They can obviously run away, put up 100 on any given point. But, something like a 90 to 80 type game seems very reasonable with the way that Arizona has played. That's kind of what the model is projecting. You can see that here. If you check out our cheat sheet that we provide everybody on Dub Club, again, you might have to zoom in, especially on your phone, to kind of see this. But this is sort of analysis we provide for every single college basketball. There's over 5,000 of them. So I've coded this in so we can provide this to our customers over there on Dub Club. And you can see the model projects an average score of about 92 to 79, something like that. So obviously Arizona's favored at home. They should be favored. It's hard to go against them after that loss. The only question is, are they going to be motivated to cover that big number? And that's where we say we don't really know. We don't really have to care. We just think there should be a lot of points one way or the other. And so over 163, the A grade there, which will take us to a late one. Utah and Arizona State. This one's on ESPN2, so another Pac-12 game, but we will be able to watch it. Of course, you can see, and we talk about this a lot with the Pac-12, the way they do their travel, the Colorado-Utah pairing and the Arizona State pairing. So these two teams will flip, and Colorado will play Arizona State over the weekend, presumably on a Saturday, and then Utah will play at Arizona. And so it's fun the way they do it scheduling. It's sad that we'll see the Pac-12 go for many reasons. One of them, of course, not being the loss of the Pac-12 network. But you've got an Arizona State team that is playing fantastic on defense. And that's what's keeping them in games, keeping them around games. And they've been able to pull out some relatively surprising wins, I think, lately. After a disappointing start to the season, it is all because of the defense. On offense, they are challenged. We had them in the under on New Year's Eve or day. I can't remember. Probably Eve, New Year's Eve. And, got that one. Didn't know how the side would play out. And they've been kind of on the right side of these games, but it's been lower scoring, grinded out type contest because that defense. But you can see just how bad the offense is. And that's the difference in this game because Utah is very good on offense, very good on defense. And Arizona State's very good on defense too. But even though Arizona State will be at home, you can see the discrepancy in the rankings according to the model in this game. Utah number 21, Arizona State number 121. And that's really just all because of Arizona State's offense. That's why we're on Utah. This is also with the border. We got two borderline games here today. And again, these are all part of the official picks. We'll track it overall. And again, it's not about wins and losses. It's about units. And so we might be missing out by not taking Minnesota money line. We might be missing out not taking Utah's spread here. I don't think the spread's a crazy pick. Sideline says Utah by about 10. So if you could lay, 5.5, 6, that's not crazy. I kind of like the money line here, almost for the same reason we talked about taking the points with Minnesota. It's hard to win on the road. It's hard to win by a lot on the road. And obviously Utah may just thump them. But we love when our incentives are aligned with the team. And that's what we have here because Utah doesn't care if they win by 4 or 14. They just want to get the win and get out of Dodge. They know they've got Arizona next. And this is just not a thing where they're interested in blowing them out. But you have to imagine the coaching staff there is saying, stay focused, get the win, get out healthy, and then we've got Arizona after that. And I don't know how much they're going to win by, but minus 235 is a good price here. And some of you might recoil a little bit of that. Remember, here's the thing. We're going to take 10 of these at around this price, at around this win probability over the course of the season. Now, it may take us a month to get these 10. It may take us 2 months to get these 10, but here's the thing. And here's what I want people to hear because people are like, minus 235, how am I going to make money of that? Here's how you're going to make money. You're going to do it 10 times with us, and we're going to win 8 of them. You can see on the screen, probably 81%. We're going to win 8 of the 10, and at 8 of the 10, we're going to be profitable. We're going to lose 2 of them. We have to understand that. And it might be this one. We don't know which 2 we're going to lose, but we're going to win 8 of the 10, and that's going to be profitable. And that's why this is an A-grade pick. You can see we scale picks maybe a little bit differently here. If you're newer to the show, we don't do flat betting, so we're not risking 2.35 units to win 1. We're actually not even going to win a full unit. We're going to win less than a full unit, but we're going to not risk 2 full units. That limits our exposure. I know a lot of people are concerned about that, so this is the way we've kind of created through that. The upside is not huge, but we're not here to win the lottery. We're here to profit. And again, we're going to do this 10 times. We're going to win 8 of them, and we're going to profit. And that's what matters. Waking up every Monday with more money in your bank account than the Monday before. That's our goal. Cousin Jared, did you like my sermon?
Yes, I did like your sermon. Preach on. One of the last times I was on the show, we talked about tiers and how you could, sometimes you could be off. Everything's grouped close together. Some teams are a lot closer together than you think, even though there's a lot of teams between them. Not the case between number 21 and 121. There is
pretty big gap.
quite a large advantage for Utah here. The other thing I would say is like Arizona State has a couple of conference wins so far. Those are over, I believe, Stanford and Cal. Stanford is rated about the 90th best team-ish, 93rd best team, according to Sideline, and Cal is all the way down at 144. So Arizona State has won a couple of games in a row. Neither of those teams are of the caliber that Utah is, in my opinion. Now, you talked about, if you're new to the show, some of the things we kind of do here. One of the things we like to do sometimes is how do we lose this bet? This is going to be Utah's first road game in over a calendar month. Again, I think Utah is more than capable of winning this game. I think clearly superior team, but just something to keep in mind. Utah's first road game in over a calendar month.
Yeah, and that's obviously, a big deal. But yeah, both Cal and Stanford, not quite the same caliber of Utah. Stanford, rising after that win against Arizona, because you can't ignore that. And, maybe on the up, but still, the class of the Pac-12 obviously is Arizona. And then behind that, it's Utah. And behind that, you'd have to assume Colorado, although they've been a little bit disappointing as well. But then it starts falling off quickly. So when you talk about tiers, the Pac-12 is, to me, it's Arizona number 1, Utah number 2, and I guess Colorado number 3, but they've been kind of up and down as well. And Stanford just nowhere near that tier. And so that's the thing to keep in mind there. So yeah, Arizona State, they've been playing low scoring games and keep it close, that sort of thing. It's tougher to do against an opponent like this. Obviously, we hope that Utah on the road can get it done. And that's why we also talk about the money line and the 80% likelihood of winning is just there is a probability Utah wins a close game, because that's what Arizona State's been playing in. It's just it's unlikely they turn out on the right side of it given Utah's superior talent. And again, Utah having no incentive to try to win by a bunch. They just want to win, because road wins against even decent, even mediocre conference teams in a power conference are not always easy to come by. And so Utah minus 235. A great pick for us there. And that'll be the show for today. For the free picks, there's your recap. We got 6 more that we're going to talk about after the break. And again, a bunch more over on Dublow. If you are interested in that, join us over there for the extended cut. Cousin Jared, parting words before we get a 60-second water break and come back to talk about double the amount of basketball we've already talked about.
If you don't want to hear me talk about Towson and Monmouth, you're just not living life. Join us over there at Dub Club, because we're about to have some fun with these next set of 6 games.
These next, I think Grand Canyon at Southern Utah is one that I'm not sure people will be watching, because I think there's other things kind of happening here on a Thursday. No NFL, but some other quality games. But that one at least will be interesting. Maybe Santa Clara if you're up late for it. But some of these games we are reaching a little bit in quality of basketball. But as we always say, you don't got to watch them to make the money. And that's where some of these are. You might not want to watch them, but there is money to be made. And hopefully you'll join us to hear about that on the other side of the 60 seconds. You can get there via Dub Club. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow.